Rural politicians. All day, every day.
I should have gotten a little fact, I've heard some of my colleagues actually heard that they went to go to Hawaii's after there was a crash of your bank, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I went up on the internet, and it's like, it did happen. It did happen. It did happen. And that's in Fortune. The second biggest bank in U.S. history collapsed and chose to go to Hawaii on that. Yeah, I've never been to Hawaii, and neither has my family. I guess I haven't crashed a bank, you know. So given that I'm the last person, I don't have much left to ask, but I will, you know, let me ask you this one particular question to put to everyone here on that. And is it an inside joke? No matter how incompetent or how greedy, the government will always bail you out when your bank crashes. I mean, everyone has to know that, right? You know, everyone has to realize that no matter how bad I behave, no matter how big my raises, my bonuses and everything, you know, we will come in and bail it because we can't crash the economy, much the way SVB was argued that it was going to crash it. Do you believe that it's a running joke in the circles of banking that no matter how bad we behave, we're gonna be pulled, we're gonna be saved? Take it, anyone?
Wow.
Senator, I don't believe that's the case.
You really? Because every bank, you seem like that crashed, it's like, hey, we could bail him out. Yeah, this one, crashed. We'll bail them out. So far, everything's been true. So doesn't it feel that now, if a bank really believed that they wouldn't be bailed out, now after bailing them out, these couple of bailouts, they are going to. Do you believe that is not outrageous? That no matter how deplorable your performance is, you are made as whole, and all by test.
That was very hard to follow.
That was John Fetterman, Senator, by the way, Senator John Fetterman, speaking lobotomese, I think is what the proper name for it. After you've had a lobotomy, apparently this is how you speak. It made zero sense. None of that made any sense whatsoever. It was really just a disaster of language. He might as well have been speaking Chinese.
You know, I did pick up one thing. He did talk about his family never going to Hawaii, but I could have sworn that it was in the news that his family went to Hawaii while he was getting his treatment in the institution or wherever he was for that time to get himself lined out.
Yeah, when he was committed to a mental institution, essentially, his family went to vacation. Were they in Europe or Hawaii?
I can't make this up.
I think that they were in Europe.
No, I read that they were in Hawaii.
They might have gone to both.
Yeah,
I mean, okay. So, anyways,
they were having a great old time.
Yeah, I think that we had commented about it at the time.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm School Board Member Jon Arguello, and this is my good friend, Citizen Tom Lord. We are here with Unsanctioned, another episode of Unsanctioned. There's a lot of things to talk about. We got a heavy show tonight. Yesterday, we did a special where we were talking about the Trump-DeSantis primary. So if you have not had a chance to watch that, please go and watch that. It's already pinned at the top of my page, so go and check it out. It was a great conversation. People for DeSantis, people for Trump, just talking about the pros and cons and what the challenges are in this race for each candidate. It's definitely worth your time to check it out.
Yeah, great panel of guests. Yeah.
Yep, great panel. They did a phenomenal job. I was really happy with the end result of that conversation. So go ahead and check it out if you guys have time. We're gonna say a quick prayer and then we're gonna get right down to business. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to be in this country where we can celebrate our elections, where we can talk about our politicians the way that we do, for giving Tom and I the opportunity to reach the community and talk to the community about politics in a not so reverent way. We do not have a king or an aristocracy or anything like that, and for that we are truly grateful, so that we can have this irreverent show where we talk about politicians the way they deserve according to their performance. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, and Lord, also, by the way, just a little bit of grace. Provide us with the wisdom and the grace to be able to do this in a way that is funny, in a way that is honest, and in a way that is effective for your community to do what they do, which is to vote for a good leader as the Bible calls for. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
All right, so a ton of stuff to talk about. That was John Fetterman. He's not the only guy in D.C. that deserves scrutiny, however. There's a whole bunch of them, and it was pointed out by our now good friend, John Durham. Probably he's got one of the few guys that has better facial hair than you, Tom. This guy is, he's a pretty cool guy in my book right now.
I don't know, that mustache is kind of weird, man.
He's got this old-timey look to him, right?
Well, he's from 1800s.
Yeah, this is the special prosecutor for this case here. And here's the video. Yeah, go ahead.
Damn, I don't even know what happened. I hit the wrong one, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very clear. Do we have a video for this?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so let's watch this and
And
we'll
this is
comment.
Bill Barr in the video, and he's talking about this.
Yeah, I remember.
General Bill Barr, also the author of One Damn Thing After Another, Memoirs of an Attorney General, someone who served that way in that office twice. Bill, good to have you with us. Thank you for being here today.
Great to be here.
So let's take a look at a quote from the Durham report. It says, while the department appears to have had legitimate concerns about the Clinton Foundation investigation occurring so close to a presidential election, it does not appear that similar concerns were expressed by the department or FBI regarding Crossfire Hurricane investigation. You know, what do you say about this, what appears to be dumping out of Clinton investigations and putting the gas on the Trump investigation right before the election?
Well, it shows that there appear to have been two different standards used, obviously. One that applied to Trump and one that applied to other cases involving Hillary Clinton, either the foundation or very specific allegations, very clear and specific allegations of foreign influence attempts going through the Clinton administration or going to the Clinton administration. And these were handled much differently than how they handled Trump, which obviously adds to the evidence that this was a bias investigation. It wasn't so much to stop, apparently it wasn't so much to stop the Russians, it was to stop Trump.
Yeah, and we've heard about the efforts to help Hillary and hurt Trump, and this feels like it lines up with that thinking. The other thing that strikes me, General Barr, is that the Durham report talks about how loosely based Crossfire Hurricane was, and that they hadn't tapped into their Russia analysis that existed in the FBI and said to them, you know, does this pass the smell test, you guys, what we're picking up here from this Australian informant, I should say? And they sort of had this separate line that was ignoring the FBI's offices that were supposed to be focused on this kind of thing. And how compare that with the work that was done by FBI analysts on the Clinton Foundation?
Right, but here, look at this example. They had specific information that a foreign country had deployed a non-U.S. person to make a contribution to Hillary Clinton's campaign to get favors in the future. That's very specific, and it's a foreign person. They turned down and blocked doing a FISA initially. And what did they do with Trump? They get this very fuzzy statement that just said the Russians have some stuff from a 28-year-old unpaid volunteer in the campaign, and they launched immediately into a full-blown investigation and sought a FISA application against a U.S. person.
Yep. And, you know, no one's going to jail. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch the leftist media, they will tell you this is a big nothing burger. There's nothing to this, the Durham report. But obviously there is. I think we all know what happened here, what was going on here. That, you know, they were spying on President Trump. They really had nothing on him. What is that echo?
I think it might be your sound.
No, it's off.
I don't know where the sound's coming from.
We have an echo. But anyway, you know, it's fairly obvious that they went after President Trump with everything they could.
Keep going.
All right, but
Sorry.
Yeah, so why aren't people going to jail? Why isn't anything happening with this? Well, because we have Joe Biden in office. I think if we had somebody else in office, if we did have President Trump, we'd be seeing some people paying the price for this. So
I agree. Where is that coming from? That echo is your computer maybe sound here? Yeah, that sound here coming out. So I agree. I think that this is a shame. For me, this is bigger than Watergate, and it's actually what happened with Watergate is that Nixon, for some crazy reason, he was already winning, right? His race, his re-election. He sent burglars to go in there and do something really terrible.
right.
Well, that was clearly a big mistake, and it cost him the presidency, obviously. So I really don't know what they could have. I mean, how can this be happening without people going to jail?
Yeah.
Right? People went to jail for Watergate. They're not going to jail, but yet. I mean, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a work in progress, obviously. We're gonna find out what happens. But I will say this. So the part that is shocking to me is that Durham, it completely and totally basically lets us know that Trump is not guilty of any of the things he's been accused of.
Yeah.
In fact, he told us the opposite. The people who we all suspected were behind all of this disinformation, as they said, was actually the people who were putting out the information against Trump. So you have Hillary Clinton, you have the FBI. So the three people at the FBI should go to jail for sure is Comey, Strzok, right? And what was this other than McCabe? Those three guys, they need to be prosecuted and they need to go to jail for their actions, right? Hillary Clinton, she should be, I don't know what the appropriate punishment is. In the end, somebody has to be responsible at her campaign, right?
Yeah.
Somebody at her campaign needs to go to prison for having created all this and done it. And if in the end Hillary was the one, then they need to be charged with some kind of conspiracy to commit some type of crime.
We know she was the one. I mean,
Well, of
yeah,
course,
come on.
you know. I mean, everything is about what you can prove, and
Yeah.
it's clear that somebody needs to go to jail. So it's absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
That you can do this. And the FBI, speaking of the FBI, when we move on to the next thing here, what a bunch of terrible actors they have been. You know, like the FBI used to have a stellar reputation. The Army used to have a stellar reputation. The AG, right? The Justice Department used to have a stellar reputation, and their reputations are now in ruins.
Yeah.
And it's because of stuff like this. That, you know, the FBI used, essentially, it was released that they improperly used warrantless search powers more than 278,000 times. Almost 300,000. That's that might be 10% of the population, right? The population is almost 378 million people,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. 378,000 people have been spied on illegally by the FBI, knowing that what they were doing was illegal.
Yeah.
So at what point does someone have some kind of accountability for this? If we don't have accountability, then people will just not trust. You don't trust the police. You know, they already attacked the police. Like, here's the funny part. All of these Democrats, all of these leftists in D.C., all of these leftist representatives and stuff, they've been attacking the police on the beat, right?
Right.
The police that are on the street.
Yeah.
But the police that they're in charge of have really been abusing their power. And I'm not sure how anybody can not see the irony there. They've been allowing these cops on the street, our deputies and police officers, they've been allowing them to be hit and killed on the street on a constant basis. They have no reaction. These guys are literally breaking the law at the highest levels of the largest, most important policing agency in our country, and they don't do anything about it. And they're also in charge of policing everyone. I mean, they're pretty much just that needs to be. The FBI needs to be razed to the ground, and then it needs to be recreated. Some kind of FBI, a new FBI needs to be created, because they've absolutely sullied that entire organization to its
Yeah,
core.
I don't even know how you can come back from it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We do have a video that accompanies.
Let's watch
this.
it, yeah.
Watch this.
Breaking tonight, new allegations that the FBI overstepped its authority in conducting investigations against American citizens. And not just a few times. We're talking in the hundreds of thousands of times. Correspondent David Spond is at the Justice Department tonight with the breaking details. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. This story is quite something. This court document released just a few hours ago found that the FBI misused a popular digital surveillance tool on everyday Americans more than 278,000 times in 2020 going into 2021. We're specifically talking about Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, also known as FISA. It gives the FBI and other agencies the ability to digitally surveil without a court order or a warrant. We now know the FBI used the tool on people connected to the civil unrest following the death of George Floyd on the streets of the United States, those involved in the January 6th Capitol attack, even political donors. According to the court, a redacted name or names, quote, conducted a batch query for over 19,000 donors to a congressional campaign. The analyst who ran the query advised that the campaign was a target of foreign influence, but the National Security Division determined that only 8 identifiers used in the query had sufficient ties to foreign influence activities to comply with the querying standard. The judge wrote that the problems were persistent and widespread, and, quote, it may become necessary to consider other responses, such as substantially limiting the number of FBI personnel with access to unminimized Section 702 information. Federal intelligence officials are pushing hard and begging Congress practically to fully re-up Section 702, all in the name of safety. It expires December 31st of this year.
It is critical that Congress fully renew Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which provides fast, reliable, and specific insights that enhance our understanding of the threats posed by our adversaries.
We're seeing some bipartisan action on Capitol Hill. Republicans and Democrats not happy. Congressman Jerry Nadler said today the FBI has promised changes before, quote, without significant changes to the law to prevent this abuse, I will oppose the reauthorization of this authority. Now, government data, and I'm reading it now, shows the FBI conducted approximately 204,000 queries, a 94% drop from 2021 going into 2022, citing that they've made some changes. In a statement we just got from the FBI, they quote the director, Christopher Wray, saying this is, quote, completely unacceptable. But, Brett, no doubt this caps off a difficult week for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which began criticism from the Durham report on Monday, and of course those FBI whistleblowers yesterday. Now we have this story today about the surveillance program. Brett?
Tough week.
Yeah.
We're trying to get rid of the echo here for you guys. We're trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a sound leak coming from, I think it's got to be coming from this computer. Leak. Check, 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 check. That's got rid of it.
Yeah, but are people hearing us on the other end?
Hey, let us know how the sound is now that we have tweaked something. Well, let's move on to the next thing. I'm hoping, I don't know if I'm afraid that that's the input capture though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't know. Yeah. But I know that sound's not supposed to be coming out of these speakers.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, there is.
There's not.
Yeah, take your headphones off. You can hear it. See, it's coming out from the computer. Oh, not anymore. We're good, I think. No, it's not. Well, let's move on. Sorry, guys. We're going to continue working on this echo while we move on. Hopefully it will get a little bit better here. Yep. All right. Sorry about that. So that's pretty big news. I mean, the country is basically holding its breath to see what happens with this. Americans, the echo just left. I don't know if it's working now. But
Yeah, but I was turning off the volume to the the microphone.
I think everyday Americans, they do care about there being actual justice on this issue. You know, if at the end of the day, somebody's not held accountable, and multiple people, really everyone involved, at every organization where this is happening, then something's going to happen. Something's going to be ruined. Something that has been held in such high esteem is going to be ruined for our country.
Right.
Something that's not been held in super high esteem is the Biden administration. And the Biden administration it's a very, they seem to always be focused on the wrong thing, right? Their priorities. I think that we talked about this last night. Like I always tell my wife, you gotta always pick the guy who's always right? That's an easy path to go down. But the Biden administration seems to never be right about anything. And one of the things that they're definitely not right about is here. They're apparently one of the biggest dangers that they see for children in the United States is chocolate milk. Yes, you heard that right. Chocolate milk is too dangerous for children. But at the same time, puberty blockers, no good. All right, those are just fine. Puberty blockers are fine for the Biden administration, but chocolate milk is too dangerous. Let's go ahead and do we have a video for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well, no, we don't. We have a picture of chocolate milk.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Here's a picture of chocolate milk.
Here's a picture of chocolate milk.
The evil chocolate milk that's destroying children all across the nation.
Yeah, so while we're having kids perform genital mutilations and double mastectomies, apparently the Biden goes full force on chocolate milk. Talk about...
And, not only that, but you have the state of New York, and you were just bringing this up earlier, and what Eric Adams is doing in New York, and you can, check this on DuckDuckGo or Google or wherever your best search engine is.
Yeah, so this was my search here for this story. So we didn't pull up the video for this, but Eric Adams. So the Biden administration is focused. They're going to war with chocolate milk. Eric Adams is going to war with meat and dairy in general. And you can see, all I did was Google it. It comes up, this story with USA Today, where he's talking about how and they're saying he's not banning meat, he's not banning dairy, he's only reducing it. Where does a mayor get the power to reduce the milk and meat consumption? It's absolutely a ridiculous amount of gall to do this to people, to try to change what people do. You don't like that people eat meat, so what you're going to do is reduce the meat and dairy budget so that they can't eat meat and dairy. It's just the wrong way to go. It's really horrendous.
States like New York, Oregon, California, you can't escape from these states fast enough. They're just like hellholes, you know what I mean? Where you have a dictator basically in charge, deciding all these things. I don't know why these people don't vote these people out of office and change.
Well, and he just got voted in.
Their homes.
Instead,
they escape the state. They go to other states. They come to Florida, and they want to turn Florida into these places that they just came from. It's crazy. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. They do leave, and they end up coming. We have people, we have our local crazies here in town, right? That they came from places that are more to the left, that you obviously left for a reason.
Yeah.
You come here, and we have people that really advocate hard to have an even more leftist government here than they did where they came from.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't get it, man. The only reason that... Thank God you're not in charge, because he would really mess it up, this type of thing. And I think that you know who I'm talking about specifically,
yes.
But, there are people who do that all the time. Let's move on here to the next thing here. We got Eric Adams with that. Let's talk about...
the Obama Clapper briefing on the Clinton campaign's Russia collusion narrative, which came out of the Durham report as well.
To go back to this, we kind of missed on this one. Clapper, we all knew that these people knew. Obama knew. They were already reporting to Obama why this was happening and what was going on and what was the truth. So they don't lie to Obama, right? This administrative state, all these, the dark state as we like to call them. They don't lie to Obama. They tell Obama everything that they're doing, and he's on board with what they're doing. So of course they don't do anything about it. Then Trump gets into office, and they lie to Trump 24/7 so that he doesn't know what the hell is going on, right? And so it's a terrible thing. Even Obama. If these people went to jail, I wouldn't be I wouldn't care, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be heartbroken about these people, the corrupt people going to jail, just like I would be, upset with people in Osceola County going to jail for their corrupt behavior. It'd be good to see. Yeah, because you don't want two justice systems, one for the ones that you agree with and one for the ones that you're friends with. That's not what you want in a good country. I mean, that's what it's like everywhere else in the world, essentially. So, man, but the presidential election, let's talk about this. Like, as I said earlier, we had this echo is driving me crazy. We had a show last night, which we talked about Trump and DeSantis a lot. We did not talk about some of the other primary contenders, one of which is now Tim Scott. Tim Scott has also joined the race, the senator from South Carolina, a great guy. And I think a lot of people were expecting that Trump was going to attack him, or they were looking for Trump to attack him. But of course, Trump doesn't do what you expect him to, right? And he just said, hey, congratulations and good luck to my good friend Tim Scott. And I think it was a moment of genius for Trump. It really showed how savvy he is about reading the room and what to say to somebody. I don't think that Tim Scott is going to win the presidential primary, right, for the Republican Party. Not because he's not a great guy, but because now you have essentially Trump, who has a base that nobody's leaving his base, right? You have Tim Scott. You have Ron DeSantis. You have Chris Christie, who is going to be running. Probably, right? And Chris Christie's a waste of a pick, but he takes votes away from DeSantis. He takes votes away from Tim Scott. They share those never Trump kind of votes. Excuse me. And it's going to be a competitive race. So I think that who this hurts is really DeSantis, right? Tim Scott getting into the race. But do we have a video of Tim Scott?
No, we don't.
Nope.
We just had the picture of him.
Yeah.
But so we didn't want to spend too much time on that. But yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about the election last night. So I just figured we just talk a little bit about him because I think he's worth talking about. He is a great candidate.
He's beloved in South Carolina.
Yeah. A real Republican. Possible VP candidate.
Yeah, possible VP pick. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
So we have all kinds of stuff going around the country right now, all right? And I think that a lot of it, speaking of Bud Light, we have another company that's joining the ranks of Bud Light, right? I think that you guys all probably know. It's Target, right? And Target is a horrendous company. I hate Target. Even before Target became leftist, I would dread my wife heading to Target. I think that they have basically created a theme at Target that is aimed at women, right? And it has worked really well, and women like going there. They enjoy shopping at Target for the most part. And now they're trying to destroy, apparently, themselves and their relationship with the average soccer mom who goes to Target to work, right?
Yeah.
Or to go not to work, to do their shopping for kids. So we do have a video for this, right? So
Yes,
let's watch video. This is absolutely crazy. Make sure that you're paying attention to the details here of this video. It's just crazy.
Target, as some people call it, they have transgender children's clothes. That's right. The items are part of a sizable LGBTQ themed selection of children's apparels, books, and accessories aimed at gender-bending minors. Items of children's clothing sold by Target include a shirt that says "Live, Laugh, Lesbian" and another that says "Queer, queer, 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 queer" 4 times. This is Target. And I have to I'm just curious, why are parents still putting up with this? It's interesting. I think that 10-15% of parents out there are just awful. They're terrible for even putting up with this for purchase. Obviously, there's a market for it. They would not be making this stuff if there was not a market for it. You look at someone that says "Queer All Year" is one of them. For a queer calendar. This is for 6, 7, and 8-year-olds at Target. And you have to wonder, is there really a response to this? We've seen it with beer. Okay, there's a response to beer. Ford has gone totally gay. Ford has a new gay Raptor out where they have a Raptor that is wrapped in LGBTQ colors. Adidas has black men wearing female swimsuits, and they're proud of it. Meanwhile, Target predicts over $1 billion in losses from theft, forecasting a gloomy second quarter as consumers pull back. So widespread theft, widespread looting, widespread shoplifting, and their response is, let's go pander to the alphabet mafia?
Yeah, so this is an absolute crazy way for a corporation to behave. They are essentially attacking your kids. And there are some crazy parents. He says it's 15%. I don't know what that number is. It's hard for me to fathom that 15% of parents, I mean, it may be that many that are okay with your kids being attacked and their morality being attacked. And that's exactly what this is. This is an attack on morality. It's an attack on our values. Not just as a country, but just as a human being. We've said this before on the show. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Hollywood celebrities were crying from every hill, screaming at the tops of every hill about genital mutilation in Africa, but now they're celebrating genital mutilation here in the United States to resolve mental illness, right? Like, we don't celebrate mental illness, right, being fixed by lobotomies anymore. Right? I mean, like, we don't perform lobotomies. Why would you perform genital mutilation for some kind of mental illness? It's just absolutely terrible. It's terrible. And I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly. I don't understand. But here's what I do know. I don't know why Target would do this. Well, I do. I mean, they're just sold out. They're doing this kind of. They've sold out to the alphabet mafia, to the. Not the LGB portion of it, right, but the TQI++, Two-Spirit, et cetera, to that portion of it, that mafia right there, they've lost control. And let me tell you the effect that it has. Target, over the last 30 days, has lost 10.78% of their market share. 10.78, almost 11% of their market share, of their value. They've lost almost $17 of value from their stock. And Anheuser-Busch, right? Again, speaking of Bud Light, over the last 30 days, they've lost 13% of their value. So these things are dramatically impacting their shareholders of this company. So they're basically they're saying that now they're no longer a corporation. Now they're a organization of values, not good ones, but of values. And these principles are going to be more important than returning an investment for their own, because they've already seen it. This is the proof that you have, right? The proof is in the stock prices. The stock prices determine, because in the end, these corporations have one mission. It's to turn a profit for the benefit of their stakeholders, which is their shareholders. Yeah. And they've abandoned that principle. They think that it's no big deal. Maybe we get a little hiccup. Well, it's been 30 days. Yeah. It'll blow over. It's not blowing over for Bud Light. Bud Light has lost a ton of market share.
You know, John, this is what I was kind of talking about last night that plays into it when I talked about, Governor DeSantis' war with Disney. The market will decide these things. People will decide these things. If people don't appreciate Bud Light partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, they won't buy Bud Light anymore.
Yeah.
If they don't appreciate Target having a section of children's clothes that are marketed, with the LGBTQ community in mind, and they're made for children, and if people don't appreciate that, they won't buy that stuff. They won't go to Target anymore. And if they don't appreciate Disney for what they're doing, they won't go to Disney anymore. Well, they probably would still go to the parks. I don't see that hurting the parks, but the movies.
I mean, I don't know if it wouldn't hurt the parks.
And their movies, the woke versions of the movies that they're making right now are paying the price.
They're busting, yeah.
Yeah, they're busting at the box office. They're not making money. So people are showing that. The parks, I don't think they'll ever hurt the parks. The parks are the parks. There are people that live to go to those parks. There's people plan.
Well, we have a good
vacations.
friend. He's a strong Republican. He's a very conservative guy. He loves going to the parks, right?
We have two friends that work at the park.
Yeah, we have friends that work at the parks. Yeah, I get that. But here's the thing. If they started doing drag shows at the parks,
Yeah, people would stop going.
right?
Exactly.
So you can go to the park and you're not bombarded with the stuff they're trying to bombard you with their films. That's the only reason the parks survive, right? If they started doing the BS that they're doing in Hollywood, the BS that they're doing in their movies, if they started doing that in their parks, that would kill their business like this. I think it really would have an impact, and that's why they don't. That's the only reason that they don't.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're doing it to, it's a family friendly company anymore. And now it's no longer that.
Unless you go to the parks in a certain week, and I think I don't know when the week is, but there's a certain week where, and I don't even think, they allow anything outrageous. I saw a video from a gay pride parade where a friend of ours shared it, and the person was dressed in fetish gear, all right, like, leathers and assless chaps and stuff like that. And there was small children, petting the guy who was acting like a dog, all right?
Terrible.
And, there was two other guys that were walking around assless chaps, and the guy was
that's
bent
crazy.
over in front of the little child, and they were giving each other spankings. And it's just like, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it,
It's
that
terrible.
right there, that's what we're talking about. It's not about gay people. It's not about,
No, this is
if
there's
you want to
there's
live your life the way you want
here's
to
the
live it,
thing.
that's fine.
we had issues where we have it's about violence and sexualization of children, right?
Exactly.
So that's what it is, exposing children to violence and highly sexualized materials. That's what it's about. It's not about the gay portion. You can get to the gay portion later. You can have that conversation at another time, but we should not be arguing. Now this is not an anti-LGB kind of issue. This is about highly sexualized materials, our kids being sexualized and being confused by this whole agenda that they have, right? For them, it's good. If these people are all sexualized, we take away all these barriers, we take away these anything that's taboo, and then you just allow the kids to do whatever. I mean, I don't want to go down this path too deep. The point is that what we don't want is for our kids to be sexualized. And let me talk a little bit about what Target has on the shelves. You can't say that you're not trying to groom kids when you have tuckless bathing suits for children.
Yeah.
Right? There's tags on the clothes that say tuck-friendly clothes. I mean, how do you do that? How do you do that for a child? How do you have a designer? And one of the designers happened to be a Satanist, an open Satanist who was promoting Satanism and talking about Satanism. And then we saw that video that had a parent walking through the store asking, "Do you support this?" And the Target employee said, "Yes, I do support it."
Yeah, and support Satan.
Yeah, I mean, it's how do you do that? How is that okay? We live in a country now where it's okay to support Satan. I mean, this is crazy, and I mean, it's absolutely crazy. There's more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, with Target, and it's not just children's clothing; it's adult clothing as well. They are also selling tuck-friendly women's swimwear.
Yeah.
To people, and here's a little bit example of that.
I don't care about the adult stuff. That's fine. Somebody like me, I'm not gonna go shop at Target.
Yeah.
Right? But when you have this is kids stuff, we're talking about kids clothing. That is grooming. You can't groom an adult. Once they're an adult, they want to practice being a crazy person. I don't care. But I mean, this is children. You're creating the mental illness. You are attacking the children with this. You're not trying to try to promote or pride or anything like that. You are attacking children. This is about children's clothes, tuck-friendly clothing for children. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, it's absolutely horrendous.
And
Shame
all
on
this
them.
has led to an emergency meeting by Target. They had an emergency meeting over this merchandise because they're worried that there's going to be a reaction, just like Bud Light. They started moving some of this merchandise to the back of the store, hiding it so that they don't have to deal with the repercussions of promoting this so heavily. So.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they
as
had an
you showed
emergency.
already, they're paying the price already.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and literally the executive on the phone call for that emergency meeting was saying, we want to avoid a Bud Light situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, you deserve a Bud Light situation. You created a Bud Light situation. This was really dumb. It's really dumb. And then last thing I want to say about this is, before we go on to Nebraska, the CEO of this company, aside from the fact that they were like, hey, we want to avoid a Bud Light situation, creating a Bud Light situation, the guy, Mr. Wonderful, the guy from the Shark Tank, right? He was on the news and he was saying that, the other people involved in this, as far as I'm concerned, is Joanna Gaines and her husband, right? They have a line, and normally in the store layout, from what I've understand, this whole children pride clothing is right in front of the store, and then the Joanna Gaines,
people, right? The fixer-upper people. Is that?
Yes, excuse me, exactly. Those fixer-upper people that they had a show, and they're supposed to be real deep Christians and whatever. Well, their setup is right next, like 10 paces from there.
Wow.
So how is it that you have your brand, if you're a Christian, that's part of their brand, is being moral, ethical people. How do you have your stuff across the aisle from this stuff that's attacking the kids that you're saying that you stand for, whatever, and they haven't said anything? So anyways, they asked Mr. Wonderful about this stuff. And he was saying, you know what? I advise him to not say anything. Because you can't win. Well, it's true, you cannot win, right? You're going to pay the price. But when you abandon God for the dollar, then you will really, really, really pay the price. That's what it comes down to for me. Yeah. These people are, it's your turn to speak out. Right now is your time. It doesn't matter if you lose 50% of your people and the margins aren't as good anymore. You need to absolutely speak out, because now it's everybody's job to come out and state that this is wrong, what Target is doing is wrong. Make them pay with this stock price. Make investors of Target abandon this stock until they understand that we're not going to allow for corporations to come and take over our families with their corrupt ideals, which is what this is. I mean, it's a shame. And what kind of people do these things? Well, we're going to show you the type of person that does these things right now. Check out this video of an absolute crazed person who believes in tuck-friendly swimsuits for kids.
Yeah, she actually believes in sex change surgeries for minors. So, in Nebraska, they're trying to ban this, and she loves trans people, and you're about to see that.
You're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. That's what they're saying out there. They're standing in a circle in the rotunda saying that over and over again. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans.
At this point, they should have already called the orderlies, but
no kidding.
It goes
Trans
on.
people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans
trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people.
With medication,
You matter.
I imagine, but let her keep.
You matter.
You
And
matter.
I am fighting for you.
I'm fighting for you.
And I will not stop.
I'll not
I
stop.
will not stop today. I will not stop tomorrow. You are loved. You matter. You belong here.
I'll get out of here.
All right, I know how you know what? We were talking about whether we let the whole thing play out, the whole thing. I'm for letting that thing roll.
Yeah,
And inside, not even commenting over it or anything else, just letting it roll because it drives the point home. These people are mad. You don't remember mad cow disease?
Yeah.
This is like a new mad cow disease. You know, we had monkeypox scare. Now this is like human mad cow disease. Something or other. These people are incensed and maddened. They, you know, it's like this is like the 21st century rabies. You know, there's no way to put it. I don't know what you're thinking if you're that person. It's perfectly orchestrated. She started off perfectly reasonable, right? She wanted to hide what she was going to do.
Although she did have that crazy smile at the beginning.
She looks crazy. There's no doubt about it. And she looks crazy by the end. It's just, I mean, the impact of, okay, so if you have 3 or 4 minutes to address the state legislature and advocate on behalf of somebody that you care about, is this the way that you do it? No. This is the way that you act crazy. You make something about yourself. You draw attention to yourself. You have a mental breakdown at the cabinet, you know, or at the legislature. It's all about you. She's making it about her. That's what it is. She thinks she's in a movement. Right now she thinks she's Che Guevara. She thinks she's George Washington, all wrapped up into one. No, you're just some crazy lady that people are going to make fun of probably for the next 100 years.
Maybe she's up for re-election.
I mean, even so, she obviously she got elected in a district that is okay with this kind of craziness, but most of the people are not. But she's not the only one who had a meltdown recently. MSNBC Chris Hayes has a meltdown defending gender surgery for children. Let's watch this video as well.
And it's the same thing that this woman was ranting about. So,
Yeah.
You know,
Think about what this means. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there are parents and families in Florida who have decided, as a family, as parents, along with their doctors, that this health care, gender-affirming care, is the best care for their kids. You may not like it, but you know what? It's none of your, excuse me, goddamn business.
This is a reporter.
To me, that is what the courage to be free means. Freedom means that in my household, our family decides what kind of health care our child does or does not get. Not Ron DeSantis, not the Republican Party.
This guy's a nutcase.
Yeah, cutting off your child's penis or and I hate
double
to say
mastectomy.
That's not healthcare.
No, it's not healthcare. It's not. Gender affirming is a stupid word, right? It is an absolute stupid. There's no affirmation. What you're doing is mutilating the body of a child. That's what it is. Genital mutilation. It's bodily mutilation. That's exactly what it is. It's just like if you were to take you got a mental illness, so you're going to take your child and you're going to cut their arms with a blade. It's no different than that. It's a crime. In my opinion, this is a crime against children. Let me tell you,
if your child decides that they're an alien, all right, and they shouldn't have ears, should you cut off their ears?
I mean, that's to the point, right? Or are you gonna put a tail? Are you gonna cut off their shin, meat from their thigh, and then create a tail if they think they're a cat? No, you don't do this stuff. So, I mean, mental illness is mental illness. You don't treat it by mutilating a body, right? That's not how you treat mental illness. And this is just it's a crime. It's a crime against children. These people should be going to jail. A doctor should lose his license. A parent, I mean, I don't know what you do with them, you know? I mean, because It's not like the governmental systems of taking care of children is any better, but at least they won't have the permission to. Well, they probably would.
Yeah.
Right? In California, they're making laws where you can run away, you can take somebody's kid, kidnap their kid, and go get them gender affirming care, genital mutilation on a child. So, or Oregon, I don't remember what crazy state it was. It was one of these crazy states out west. Listen, so we fixed the echo problem.
Wild West.
Yeah, we fixed the echo problem. Thank you for sticking with us. We hope that you, those of you who couldn't handle it, I understand. But please like and share the show. I could barely handle it myself. Yeah. And I wanted to give a shout out to Sean for Pasco. This is, I think, his, let me give you his website here. I think I may have closed it while I was trying to deal. But Sean is running for a school board in Pasco County. Seems like a great guy. He's a first responder. I'll put his website down there. Sean, if you're still on or if you come back later, go ahead and put your website down at the bottom, your contact information, so people from Pasco can reach out to you. We need good school board members throughout the state and throughout the country. You look up Sean and make sure that he's the guy that you can vote for in your district, for your school board.
Absolutely.
Okay, so listen. Also, like and share if you're watching. There's whoever's watching right now, please like and share. The show is shadow banned, so sometimes people don't get our notifications. They don't. You can't see the show. It doesn't come on until later. But we know from the reviews that people come back and watch or they see it when they can. But please like and share if you will.
Yeah.
All right.
So talking about schools and school boards.
Yeah, talking about schools and school boards. We had a guy. Okay, so Secretary Cardona, right? The education secretary. This guy, man, I swear, these diversity picks, they drive me crazy. They're all diversity picks in the administration of Biden. In fact, the new chiefs of staff for the Secretary of Defense, the chief of staff for the military branches, is a diversity pick. In fact, just really quick, we didn't even have this show for the show, but they literally, the press secretary of Joe Biden herself said that he was a diversity pick. She said that the reason he got the job, these are the first two things that she mentions. Number one, for his work making the armed forces inclusive. And number two was for his quote or his tweet or his book or whatever he did supporting George Floyd. So those were the top. We're talking about the Joint Chiefs, the guy that's supposed to manage our strategy going to war, manage the branches of the military. And he got hired because he was inclusive and because he supported George Floyd. It's the stupidest thing in the world. Here's another diversity pick. Unfortunately, it happens to be a Hispanic guy, and I hate Hispanic diversity picks. Wow. There's plenty of great Hispanics that probably would have been great for this job, and they picked some guy who absolutely has the strategic mind of a potato here in Secretary Cardona. And he claims here that parents know what's best for your kids. Not parents. Oh, no. That's the right thing to say. Right. What he says is that teachers know better. Listen, I love teachers. I have my teacher certificate. I've taught in the classroom. I know that teachers know a lot of great things, right? They know how to teach kids. They know how to manage a classroom. They know how to tolerate kids that are not theirs. They don't know better for the sons and daughters of other people than the parents do. That's not what teachers know. Teachers do not know. Are there some terrible parents? Yes, and we've mentioned this on the show before too. Yes. But parents have the constitutional right to be bad parents. Those are their children. You don't have to be a great parent. You don't have to be interested. You don't even have to love your kid. None of that stuff is in the Constitution.
No.
In the Constitution is getting an education, right? And so you are obligated to provide an education for the students. That is their right. But you do not. That does not mean because the government is involved that they know better. That these government employees, teachers, know better than the parents. No. Don't even say things like that. It's absolute stupidity.
And he paid the price for this tweet, John. It says, he got 2.6 thousand hearts, all right, but there was 18,000 replies, and I can tell you, I went through some of those replies, and they were brutal. They really went after him. So
skewered, and he deserved it. Yeah. But he does deserve this because he's an absolute moron. He came to Osceola County, and he did the same thing. So what did he do to Osceola County? He came to Osceola County, and I tweeted it out. that he came to Osceola County, and well, before even that, let me show my tweet here. So I tweeted, hey, Secretary Cardona came to Osceola, and the only thing he talked about was gender ideology. Our district is failing. I've been fighting the school district of Osceola County for its corruption and its ineffectiveness since the day I got elected. I didn't realize how bad it was when I was elected, but I've been fighting that cause. This guy comes to town, and I imagine, oh wow, now he's going to shine a light on our district, right? Our district is terrible. What does he do? He talks about LGBT, and that's it. Okay, that's the dumbest thing ever. You go to a district that is not doing great. We're 5 points or more than the state average in terms of performance. We're at the bottom. Last list I looked at, we were near the bottom. We were 40-something out of, or 60-something out of 67 school districts. And this guy's talking about LGBT issues? Now you can put up the article here. You can see, somebody told me, so I tweeted that out. Some person was saying, oh, it didn't happen. That's not true. Here's the article. We went back. We found, just quick Google search, boom, and it tells us right there, Cardona reaches out to LGBT. And read the first 2 lines there. Right there, Tom. Why don't you read those first 2 lines there?
It says, 10-year-old, whatever the name is, a transgender girl who lives just south of Orlando in Florida's Osceola County loves to run.
Transgender girl. That's their focus.
She's the fastest girl on her school's cross country team, according to the whatever.
So this little boy is on the track team. He's the fastest runner on the girls' team. He's a little boy, okay? He's a little boy. He's the fastest runner. No kidding, yeah. You know what? I would be, I am not some kind of tremendous physical specimen, right? But I'm pretty sure that if it was something that came to it and I had a woman of similar age and similar characteristics, physical characteristics, I'd pretty much be able to beat her, right? I mean, in a wrestling match or in a fight or something like
absolutely.
that. It's not because of anything except for the fact that I'm a man. That's it.
It's physiology.
It's physiology. I mean, this is madness. We're allowing madness. So now we're allowing boys to compete against girls. This is ridiculous. And this guy comes down, this is what he talks about. He doesn't talk about the fact that our grades are low. He doesn't talk about the fact that we misspent ESSER funds like crazy, that we haven't been, using this money to change the shift the education delivery system in Osceola County. He talks about LGBT issues, and I really can't say. I have no respect for the man. And there's also a video of him and Darren Soto. Darren Soto brings them. They were acting like they're heroes. No, kids, these are not heroes. These are guys that are absolute
zeros.
fools. Yeah, exactly. They're zeros. So it's horrendous.
Yeah. So talking about the state of Florida, and let's talk a little bit about the state of Florida.
Biggest news in the state of Florida right now is DeSantis entering the presidential primary.
Yeah.
That's the biggest story by far. DeSantis. And DeSantis, by his own words, he said that he was the only credible. He was one of 3 credible candidates, right? And it was basically Trump, Biden, and him. Those are big words, right? Those are throwing the gauntlet down. And it is true. There's the Republican primary is a 2-man race between Trump and DeSantis, pretty much. God only knows what happens in the future. I mean, who knows? Imagine if they shift. But here's the thing: what a risk. Because if you're DeSantis and you go down in the polls and you don't end up as the number 2 guy, you look really bad. Imagine, somebody, I think it was Nikki Fried, the chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Florida, was saying, when does he start getting beat by Pence? That's not going to happen.
No.
But imagine the disaster it would be for him if it does.
Zero chance of getting the nomination. It's like many of these other Republicans that have filed to run. I don't know why they filed to run. I mean,
to stay relevant, maybe. Chris Christie, I think the only reason would be to stay relevant in his own home state.
That's why he opens his mouth.
Yeah.
Anytime he opens his mouth.
Besides to
shove it on CNN or MSNBC, and wants to talk crap about Trump, and
he has zero chance. In fact, if he had zero chance, that would be an improvement of his prospects of becoming president. So DeSantis, some of the other things that he said, I don't know, do you have a video or something that you want to?
No, there's no video to that, but there was a poll that came out. And, you know, polls, you can't really trust polls too much anymore. I mean, they're kind of, but it is a shocking poll. It is a shocking poll that came out that puts Joe Biden 14 points ahead of Governor DeSantis in the general election. And you can see in this poll, I'll pull it up, it does have a timeline of events and you know, it coincides with their support. So things that have happened and where their support was at that point. So this poll was done by Redfield and Wilton Strategies. It was done on May 17th of 2023 of 1,500 likely voters. And it puts Governor DeSantis at 33% and Joe Biden at 47%. Do I believe that could be the case? No, not in reality. But if they cheat, you know, and you know, because I don't believe that Joe Biden beat President Trump in the last election.
Nor do
I. But you know, who knows? You know.
Well, here's the thing. They were saying one of the biggest things. You know, the whole reason I said thanks Hillary, that she ruined polling, right? Not only did she ruin the FBI, she ruined the Department of Justice, she ruined our faith in the military, she ruined just by getting all these people to play along with her dirty scheme to become president, which she failed at miserably. When they left it up to an honest election, she failed miserably. But anyways, you know, that's why. So, no, people don't trust polls anymore. Everybody was saying that, remember that election night, that 2016 election night, man, watching them, they all had, Hillary was up 11 points, 11, 17, you know, 17 points. And I remember staying up that night, and it was like the greatest night ever, greatest election night ever for me.
It was like Christmas Eve when you were a kid.
It was,
you know?
man. I was so happy. Just the crying and the screaming and the
shock. And,
the gnashing of teeth of the Democrats. It was amazing.
There's a video on YouTube of you know, reactions from that night, and it's the best video.
It is the best.
If you ever feel bad for any reason, just go watch that video and you're gonna feel a lot better.
Yeah, but faith in polls has just been destroyed because of that. So,
and that's why I said you can't really trust polls. You saw, you know, back in 2016, everybody was saying that she was gonna win. Everybody, and sure enough, she did.
Yeah, and that leads to basically all of these progressive groups. So why? You had a good point. I don't necessarily. We may not be exactly on the same page on this. I guess we have different perspectives, but I do think that you have a really good point. I think it's a very high probability. It's not something that would occur to me necessarily, but it's basically that Ron DeSantis is running to the right of Trump, and he's had this time as governor to show what a conservative he is. He can't escape his conservative record, so that's turning off the Democrats, right? So there are some Democrats maybe that would vote for Trump who's certainly more or less conservative or hardcore conservative than Trump is, but
although, you know, there was that leaked audio, I know you've heard it, from the meeting that Governor DeSantis had on the night of his announcement at the Four Seasons in Miami with the big money donors, and they, you know, the leaked audio did say, you know, one of his strategists did say that he will move to the middle in the national election. But I think the things that have happened here in Florida are not. You're not going to escape that. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no, right? He's legitimately conservative.
And they're going to put it back out there.
Yeah, and they're going to put it back. So I don't know what they're going to, you know, how that's going to play out in the end in a general, but certainly he is a conservative governor. Yeah. And we were talking last night when we were doing this show about DeSantis and Trump, talking about the difference between conservative and effective, right? I would rather have a 80% effective conservative at 70% than have a 30% effective 100% conservative guy, right? I mean, because in the end you get more done with that towards conservative ideals, and that both of these guys have great records. Both of these guys, Trump and DeSantis, both of them have great records. And doing great things. In fact, DeSantis has made the state so great to live in that the president of the NAACP, right, lives here, even though he put out the most ridiculous, absolute moronic statement that Florida is unsafe for black people to travel to. So the NAACP issues this travel warning for black people. They said that it has become hostile to black Americans. Let me tell you something.
Even though he lives here.
He lives here.
He lives here.
He lives here. Why didn't he move out? Why didn't he move away? He lives in Tampa, I think, right?
Yeah.
So this is absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I've seen a whole bunch of black people make videos saying, hey, actually, I'm safe, right? And so on. I think that I shared some. They're like, we're okay here. You know those memes after a hurricane hits Florida? You know how Floridians get like immune to hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes hurricane will come. Everybody's you prepare for it, but then like all it does is knock over a lawn chair, and so you see these memes that say, "Hey,
you know who the people are that aren't from Florida when a hurricane comes around."
Yes,
they are the ones that are panicking, freaking out,
yeah.
running to the store, buying up all the water, getting all the gas, and the real people that have been in Florida, know Florida, the real Floridians are just kind of like they go to the liquor store.
yeah, pretty much. They already have what they need. They already know.
Right.
But, I mean, this guy is just, come on. Here's the thing. Number one, the chances of you getting shot in Florida are so much less if you're not breaking into a building or fighting with cops or whatever than it is in Chicago.
Yeah. Why aren't they issuing a travel advisory for Chicago? Or,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chicago, Baltimore, New York, anywhere in California, right? You have a better chance of stepping in a pile of human feces in California than you do of being shot in Florida by far. And so if they don't do a travel warning, hey, watch your shoes in California, then I wouldn't even worry. Don't even think about Florida. There's nothing wrong here. Florida's a great state. DeSantis has the state in tip-top shape. You cannot take that away from him. That's why everybody's moving here. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Osceola County to wrap up the show.
So, yes, all right. So,
the most corrupt county in Florida.
It is. It truly is. And, talking about Governor DeSantis, and this is kind of a segue into this, Disney decided to cancel their Lake Nona project because of Governor DeSantis.
Or so they say.
His war with Disney, or at least that's what they say. But, there is a video about this. There is an economist who says that this is going to have very little impact on the economy of Lake Nona. So watch this.
To pull out of its plans to invest in a $1 billion campus for thousands of cast members in the Lake Nona area. News 6's Lauren Cervantes is live now with that new reaction from the governor and an economist. Lauren.
It's been nearly 24 hours since Disney announced their plans that they'll be pulling out of Lake Nona. And now, Governor DeSantis is responding, and it's messaging that we've heard before, saying there will be no special concessions for Disney.
To put one corporation on a pedestal and let them be exempt from the laws is not good policy. It's not free market economics. And it's not something that our state's going to be involved in. And so we will not change from that. And so they can do whatever they want. I know people try to chirp and say this or that. The chance of us backing down from that is zero.
Governor Ron DeSantis in New Hampshire Friday responding to Disney's announcement that it's scrapping a $1 billion investment plan for Lake Nona. While Disney did not directly name the governor as the reason for the decision, it said in a statement, quote, "Given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, including new leadership and changing business conditions, we have decided not to move forward with construction of the campus." Back in 2021, Disney announced it would build a corporate office complex off of Lake Nona Boulevard, bringing 2,000 Disney workers from California to the area.
I think this doesn't really change the trajectory for the Lake Nona region or Orlando in general.
UCF economist Sean Snaith says, while the news is big, it might not have as great of an impact on the Lake Nona economy.
We still have strong economic growth. We still have very strong population growth that helps to drive that. We don't know ultimately what's going to happen to that 60 acres. I mean, the names and the faces may be different, but I think, the end game is still the same. I think we're going to continue to see development.
Snake tells me there could be a bit of a silver lining with this, saying this decision takes a little bit of pressure off of the housing market, which he describes as limited. For now in Lake Nona, I'm Lauren Cervantes, getting results, News 6.
And of course, this is going to have no impact on the economy of Lake Nona. Let me tell you, John, and you might know this, but anybody who grew up here in Florida, especially in the Central Florida area, Orlando, Osceola County, the plan for this building or this project that Disney was going to do was for cast members. It was cast member living quarters, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they've had other cast member living quarters before. They currently do now. One of them, the most infamous, was Vista Way. And if you don't know what Vista Way is, okay, this is a place where Disney would put up.
That was a hotel, right, or something?
No. It was apartments, but it was Disney's owned and controlled apartments. And these were for their cast members that came in for international or through their college programs and stuff. This place was infamous to be the biggest party spot in Central Florida. I remember when I was in high school, I would hear stories about Vista Way and, things that went on there. And, you would try to, get out there to go to the parties that were happening there. But anyway, they're infamous for the things that go down at these places. I don't see this having any impact whatsoever on the Lake Nona community, except for less parties in that area and no big parties going on in that area.
I think the part that is really worthy of scrutiny is the idea, my speculation at least, that Disney's willing to lie to you about why they do things, right? They're saying that this is because of DeSantis. This is not because of DeSantis. This is because of money issues. They have been taking shot after shot after shot. And would you be building it? Let's say that you're worth $5 million, right? And you're about to build a house for $500,000. If you just lost $3 million, would you still be investing in that property the same way, or would you be taking a double guess? And I think that that's what the situation with Disney is. They have not been doing well. They just closed the Star Wars hotel experience that they did. They were charging an incredible $23 or $25
for 3 nights.
Absolutely incredible, just crazy.
Who can afford that?
Who can afford that? Yeah. It's the dumbest thing. So of course they closed that, but they spent a ton of money there, and that busted. Several of their movies have been, just been worthless in terms of their financial results. So this has been, there's a reason for them to be doing this. I don't agree that it's that. No. I think that that's a great excuse. It's a great reason. If you're a company, you're going to be like, you know what, we're really. We're not in the shape to do this, so let's blame this other situation. Yeah. They're willing to do that. Just like a lot of these companies, they're going to change this whole BS about the tuckable swimwear for kids. They're going to change that. They already moved them to the back of the store, right? They're going to come up with some other reason why. They're not going to say, hey, you know what, this is immoral and we got caught with our pants down on this. But certainly that's the reason that they're moving it, right? So I don't know. I don't have a lot of respect for how Disney's doing things. And
well, I can just say this, John, the Lake Nona area has been saved from more traffic because of this project, and it would be including the Disney buses, because Disney does provide a bus service for these cast members that are at these places. So these buses would be in the area, they'd be picking them up and dropping them off, and they would be part of the traffic problem too. So
well,
there you go.
I'm not surprised about, here's the thing. I think that they'll live without us. Lake Nona is a great community. It's a great place. I don't know that they would want it, So we're talking about 2,000 people potentially moving there. We don't know if they want, it's going to be developed anyways, but this is our medical city. They can live without it. So, but they're not the only ones who are canceling things right now, right? In the local area. The Pride event for St. Cloud was canceled after DeSantis signs the Protection of Children Act, which basically prevents them from having these immoral displays of sexuality in front of kids, right? Now, the city of Kissimmee is still having theirs, right? So the city of Kissimmee is still having theirs. St. Cloud cancels there. Let me ask you, for me, it strikes me as odd that these people have to change their show or cancel their shows because you can't have these immoral displays in front of children, right? So what were you planning on doing?
Well, there is a video that goes with this. This was on Channel 2, and they give an explanation. So,
organizers who told her that performers felt a new law would not make it a safe place for them to perform.
Welcome to St. Cloud's first Pride event, and here we are crammed in a building.
This is 2022, the first official Pride event held in St. Cloud, and organizers Christina Bozinich and Brenda Torres worry it could be the last. They had planned a second St. Cloud Pride event for June 10th.
We had guest speakers, one that was a TikTok influencer, a local singer that created a song just for the event, and then at the very end, out of the whole 6 hours, the last 2 hours were to be a drag performance.
But Wednesday, Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Protection of Children Act into law, penalizing venues that allow children inside during adult live performances. Many drag performers say this law specifically targets their shows.
I think that we were thinking in a place of, okay, we'll adjust, we'll comply. You know, we're still speaking from a place of love.
Bozinich says they adjusted the event to only allow those 18 years and older to attend the drag performance, the last 2 hours of the event.
But even after discussing with entertainment, the drag queens did not feel it would be safe for them to perform.
Bozinich says they were hoping to still have the event even without their main acts.
The news came out about the sign in Lake Nona that said, "Kill all gays," which was very alarming, very concerning. We did not have the funds to be able to provide that high level of security to ensure safety if there were some sort of extreme act.
The same day, Tampa Pride canceled their event, citing similar reasons. The organizers say they are hoping people go to the large Pride event in Kissimmee instead. Anika Hope, West 2 News.
This is such BS. You think Kissimmee's going to provide like any more security than these guys did? Number one, no. And here's what I want to know about that sign in Lake Nona that said "Kill all the gays." Where was Jussie Smollett when that sign happened, huh? I want to know where Jussie, where were you on the night of whatever that sign was put? Because this sounds like pure hoax to me.
you know, those signs can be hacked, John.
Yes, of course they can, and I'm sure that's what happened.
It wouldn't surprise me if some teenager hacked that sign and put that there.
I wouldn't be surprised if that teenager was dressed in drag when he did it.
Yeah.
Is where I'm going. I think that these guys are full of it. That was, it could have been some kind of. I'm just saying.
I don't think
this sounds like a Jussie Smollett situation.
Especially if it was just an 18 and up event. I don't think
what's
people
the problem?
would care.
No, nobody cares. There was nothing extreme was gonna. They were under no threat. Nobody had made any threats.
And I think if the St. Cloud police were aware of any kind of threat or that, I know when there's an event going on in St. Cloud, the St. Cloud police are all over it.
Yeah.
Right? They're making sure that everyone's safe. Everybody's, we have a great police department in St. Cloud. They would not let anything happen.
They're not going to let, and nothing was going to, they received no threats.
No.
I mean, there was no reason. You can say that, but you didn't receive any threats. So, it's basically they wanted to perform in front of kids. In my opinion, that's what it was. Just like Disney is not telling you the truth about why they're not bringing their 2,300 employees or whatever, these people are not telling you the truth about why they canceled this event. They had kids planning to come. And if you can't bring your kids, some people wouldn't be able to come. They weren't going to get the numbers that they wanted. They weren't going to be able to have the displays and all that stuff, and that's why this got canceled. Here's the funny thing: the exact same thing is going to happen in Kissimmee, right? The same show is going to happen in Kissimmee, and they're going to have the same problems there. I guess nobody's threatening Kissimmee, the much larger event. Nobody's under threat there. No, what's going to happen is if there's going to be a kid out there and there's going to be people watching, and then I think that Kissimmee is going to get in trouble. I think it's a really bad mistake. For Kissimmee to do this event and without ensuring that the event is complying with the law.
Well, I did hear, and I think it's true, John, right, that the city of Kissimmee decided to take all the money from their Memorial Day event and put it toward their Pride event.
Did they? I don't know. Did they take the money? Is it?
I'm not sure if that's true. I read that somewhere.
Well, I heard that. I didn't know that it was true. I didn't pay it any mind when I actually heard it because I would have been, my mind would have been blown if that's the case. If they took money away from the Memorial Day event, which is a federally recognized holiday, it would blow my mind. So listen, by the way, with that Memorial event, we're having a memorial prayer service on Monday at 12:30 at the the Veterans Memorial Park in Kissimmee here. I don't know what the address is. We'll put the link here for the event. It's just a simple, low-key prayer service and honoring our fallen brothers and sisters who lost their lives in the name of this country. And so we're going to do that on Monday at 12:30 in downtown Kissimmee at that Veterans Monument. Okay, so please join us. Come. We're going to say a little prayer, and that's pretty much it. I am not somebody who celebrates Memorial Day. I'm not somebody who I never get involved in Memorial. I don't go out to the parades. I don't do any of the stuff that normal people do on Memorial Day. It's a very personal day for me. I have 22 friends who lost their lives in Afghanistan, and so it's always a day that I try to reflect and pay respect, and I just kind of have my little moment. So it's not a day that I do barbecues and lunches normally, and I don't celebrate. It's not a great day for me. But the reason I'm doing this was because somebody mentioned that the city of Kissimmee was not doing anything. So I was like, that's also not right. Something needs to be done. We need to do something. And so we reserved this little spot in Kissimmee to be able to do this. And come if you want to come join. Like I said, this is not going to be, hey, come and we're going to be all happy and whatever, and celebrate and have barbecues and free hot dogs and beer and all that stuff. This is what it is. We're going to get there. We're going to say a little prayer, talk a little bit about the meaning of what Memorial Day really is, and that's all. Short, sweet, informal, just friendly, and we'll have a little moment of fellowship. That's what it's all about, to pay respect to those people and to honor our country and our fallen soldiers. And
that's a sad thing, John, is I think many people don't really understand what Memorial Day is or why we have Memorial Day. I think if you ask the average teenager or young adult, they couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is sad that people don't know. We just finished the war after 20-something years, multiple wars after, decades, literally. And so we have, right? I think that people who were growing up as children during the Second World War, during Vietnam, they know what Memorial Day is because they all had family members who perished, at the hands of the enemy. And now we've been at war for 20 years, and so we had significant losses in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so we have those veterans. We have a lot of people that died. Like I said, 22 of my friends died in Afghanistan. So certainly, it means something to me. I'm going to teach my kids what Memorial Day means. But yeah, I mean, it's true. I think we need to re-recognize what Memorial Day means. And it's not about beers and grilling on that day, at least not for me. So I know they also do something in St. Cloud. So they're doing something at 10 a.m. We're doing it at 12:30 at the Veterans Memorial. So please join us if you want to say a quick prayer for our fallen sons and daughters and brothers and sisters.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the plan is for me on Monday. So.
Well, then you're fired.
Yeah, my wife has a plan for me, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, people have plans. People
surprise.
Say, there's and listen, don't misunderstand me. I'm not somebody who gets offended by people who do. I'm just saying I don't, right? Like, I don't normally celebrate it. But if my wife told me, hey, we're going to go do this, then I would go do whatever it is that she told me to do. But I mean, I plan on spending that time with my kids. And maybe making some phone calls to old friends, and just, reconnecting and making sure that everybody's okay.
Well, see, every 7 years, my birthday falls on Memorial Day.
Yeah, I know. Happy birthday, Tom. I wasn't going to mention it, but happy birthday to you. How old are you going to be? We're the same age.
Yeah, you know.
So, I mean, that's, it's nice. So anyways, just please remember, Monday, 12:30, Memorial Day, Veterans Memorial in Kissimmee. And we'll put the address below in the links.
So, John, you know it's election season.
Mm-hmm.
And you always know that it's election season here in Osceola County because the food drives begin. We have two food drives coming up. Brandon Arrington is running for re-election.
Brandon Arrington is having a food drive.
He has two challengers. All right, already two challengers. Thank God. But he's having two food drives. He's having one in June. Here it is, the summer food distribution on Saturday, June 10th at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can see Brandon Arrington at this event, I think.
You know what?
For at least the first 5 or 10 minutes of the event, and then for a photo op, and then he'll get out. But no, I'm kidding. I don't know. Maybe
Yes,
he'll
of
stay
course
for
it's
the
going to
whole
be
thing.
like, here, I'm going to go to this. First of all,
You gonna get some food?
He's so obnoxious. I really, I'm so glad that people have had enough of Brandon Arrington. They've had enough of the name Arrington, and believe me, I have as well. This really irritates me because I used to have a sign out there. All right, I had somebody who a supporter of mine had a sign. They requested a sign, and they put it out there. Right. They happen to live next to this church right here, right?
Yeah.
And apparently he works with this church and whatever. I've gone to services at the same church, but apparently people they work well with Arrington, they like Arrington. They kept getting offended that my sign was there because they know I'm not his biggest fan, and they kept having my sign removed. So they kept requesting another sign, and it was like 5 signs, but they kept taking them away. So, very obnoxious. I'm going to go there.
You have to remind them that our county is in the situation it is in because of Brandon Arrington.
Yeah.
And the 20 years that he has been a county commissioner.
Speaking of accountability, this is some guy who's never...
I just wanted to remind everyone, there is a second food distribution on Saturday, July 15th. So he's having one in June, one in July. Sponsored by Osceola County. I don't know if it's your tax dollars that are going towards this.
Of course it is. Otherwise, the county logo wouldn't be able to go on there.
Oh, okay.
So does he have? Yeah, and he does not have his campaign. So this is not.
Yeah.
But here he is.
He does have his name, and it's a big picture of babyface Brandon Arrington, and there he is. I mean,
we need
glamour shot.
We need that glamour. I know it is all glamour shots, right? He's like all frosted. It's this image from glamour shot. He's got a fan blowing at him. What a putz.
Well coiffed hair.
Yeah, exactly. What a joke. But there are 2 people running against it. Let's talk a little bit about elections. Everybody's running, and we're going to wrap up the show with this. People who are running for office. Okay, so there's 2 people running for clerk of court in Osceola County, Josue Lorenzo and Kelvin Soto. That's an interesting race. Super interesting in the sheriff's race. So Tim Devine, we talked about him. He was the first person to get in. Luis Fernandez finally got into the race. He was campaigning, but without having filed for the race, is what we saw. Russ Gibson is still in his race. Is still in that race. Donnie Martinez, okay, a local real estate person, is in that race now. So he's a new person that filed since the last time we talked about this. Now we're talking. I mean, there's a lot of people here. I guess he saw that the opportunity. There's a bunch of Dems. Obviously this is going to go into it's going to have primaries now. It's going to be complicated. It looks like it's going to get complicated. Yeah. And now Peggy Choudhury, she filed. I hear that there's people that are going to get into that race. Brandon Arrington, of course, he has 2 people. Brandon is a Democrat. He's got 2 other Democrats that are running, Sarah LaBarbera and Deborah Sue Rambis. I have not met Sarah LaBarbera. I have not spoken with her or nothing. I have spoken to Deborah Sue Rambis. Deborah Sue is someone who is, she's kind of leading the charge, so to speak, on fighting the hydro plant on Pleasant Hill. So she has been, obviously she's running for the right reasons. She saw that this is happening, and she's after Brandon, and because she knows that Brandon's, responsible for bringing this back to us. Ricky Booth is still in District 5. Jeffrey Hawk is still in School Board 3. I'll be filing my paperwork here in a few days, so that's a new name to the list. Christopher Bailey and Gabby Sanders Morency are running for judge. Migdalia Perez is still running for judge in Group 4. City Commission of Kissimmee, Noel Ortiz against Lissandra Roman in Seat 1. Seat 3, Carlos Alvarez is refiled for re-election. He's running against Wade Choate. Seat 5, this is an interesting race also. Olga Carino, Olga Castaño, and Jackie Espinoza are all running in that race. Olga Carino has $5,000 in hers. Jackie's still leading. Jackie looks like she's raised more than anybody else running for any other office. She has raised $21,000. I think it's $20,000 was what she dropped into the race.
Yeah.
Colby Urban has filed for Seat 3. And that's it for elections there. I think this guy here for St. Cloud, I have a story to tell about this guy running for St. Cloud mayor. I'm not going to tell it now. But at some point in the very near future, I think we're going to discuss. I have a very interesting story about that situation. So we'll see who else gets into that race. I'm sure that race is going to get heated up as well.
Yeah.
And that's all we got. Anything else, Tom?
No, that's it. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Have a great
Memorial
weekend.
Day.
Great Memorial Day weekend.
Do go and stop out at Mount Peace Cemetery. My cousin Michael is the caretaker of the cemetery. He's a great guy. He comes up
His
with
event
a lot
is
of
at 10.
He comes up with a lot of the events that happen at Mount Peace, and he really does care about the area. So they're going to do a wreath laying ceremony. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people there, and go out there and check that out, and then go to Kissimmee and go to John's event.
Yeah, please come visit me out on Monday, 12:30. It's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be any crazy. I'm sure Michael's is going to be a much better planned and eventful day.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah.
It's a tradition. So
Yeah.
every Memorial Day they do it.
Yeah.
So, and they've been doing it for years. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wonder who's going to be speaking there. Hopefully, it's not one of the local knuckleheads who has no reason to be speaking there.
I know Soto has spoken there before. I know Fred Hawkins has spoken there before.
You mean President Hawkins?
Yeah. I guess that's coming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything. Thank you guys. God bless you. Thank you for watching us. Please like and share. Follow us on Twitter. Go ahead, Tom.
If you missed last night's show,
Yeah, that's
all
a
right,
great point. Yep.
please go back and watch it. It is still on Facebook. It's on YouTube under school board member Arguello Unsanctioned. It is on it will be on the Unsanctioned page if it isn't already. It is a great discussion with some great panelists that had a lot of great things to say.
Yeah.
It was really a great discussion. So please go back and watch that if you haven't watched it already. It'll be on Rumble sometime tonight. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, watch it. So the people who were on that show were Nick Carterano, formerly the CDF executive director in Osceola County. He's a real active guy. He's an activist who's been a conservative activist. He was fighting for the health-related bills up in the legislature and stuff. Just a great guy, really very well knowledged with all of the legislative stuff. We had Cheyenne Rio Frio, who's the secretary for the RNHA of Florida. We had Angelica McKinney, who's the president of the FRA of Osceola County. We had Joseph Molnar, a political operative and a consultant who was there on behalf promoting the DeSantis campaign. We had, who am I missing? Jose Castillo. So Jose Castillo, former CD9 candidate for Congressional District 9. So it was a great conversation. It was not, which we were glad it was really good because it was
Very
not
civil.
combative.
Yeah.
It was not adversarial. It was really just like talking about the good and the bad of this race and what people want and expect out of it and want from both of these candidates. So it was a great time. It was a lot of fun doing it, and we'll probably do it again. We'll do it again for other candidates and so on. So
debates, and,
yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Please like and share. If you've been sent, go into your invites, find your invites if you don't know, and like the show. Otherwise, go ahead and click on follow and stuff, because we are shadow banned. It's hard to get the notifications out. So if you can, please make the effort to follow the show and like. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless. Again, good night.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.